All right, so it looks like Jeff Bezos is getting nervous. He's nervous because the first Amazon union in Bessemer, Alabama could be the first among any Amazon warehouses in the United States. So there's a really important fight that's going on right now. I believe today is actually the last day for the mail-in votes for that union drive that's going on. But this is really just, a proxy battle for the labor movement in the United States and between some of these gigantic corporations like Amazon and workers having power to push back against exploitative labor practices or unfair wages or unsafe conditions that they are being forced to work in, etc., etc. And there's been this weird kind of back and forth that was going on the last couple of days on Twitter between Amazon News and a couple of these other leftists, whether it's like online leftists or even senators and politicians. And this was really weird because it was like, why the fuck is Amazon News, this random Twitter account, targeting these left-wing politicians at this moment? Why, and in a way that they're not even really winning the PR battle here. It was really ridiculous to see. I mean, like, trying to dunk on Elizabeth Warren here, they were getting absolutely ratioed out of the water with all of these responses. And I did a separate video that was breaking down all of the inaccuracies and these claims that they were making, like trying to go after Bernie Sanders, bragging about the fact that Amazon has a $15 minimum wage, even though Bernie Sanders was the one who forced Amazon to raise their wage to the minimum of $15 an hour. So they were going through some hissy fits online, basically. Amazon was showing at full display that they are really nervous about what's going on in Bessemer, Alabama. And it turns out that Jeff Bezos specifically is really nervous about what's going on in Bessemer, Alabama, and that he actually directed some of those tweets, not specifically with the language, but directed some of these tweets because he felt that Amazon was not forcefully pushing back against some of the narratives that have been surrounding this union fight. And so I wanted to give you this perspective because it's really just interesting to see the richest man in the world like pissing his pants and getting frustrated at some of the things that have been happening. But this is a really important fight. So let's go ahead and read about what his thought process was. So with the closely watched and potentially seismic union election at an Amazon warehouse in Bessemer, Alabama nearing an end, new reporting indicates that CEO Jeff Bezos was the driving force behind a recent effort by the company representatives to stave off progressive critiques of the corporation's well-documented maltreatment of employees. There was even one instance where the Amazon News account was replying, I forget who they were replying to, but somebody had brought up these stories of warehouse workers and drivers being forced to pee and defecate in bags and bottles because of these time constraints and these quotas that Amazon is giving them, ridiculous quotas that no human being could ever meet. And so drivers and warehouse workers were put in a position where they felt like, I could lose my job if I don't meet these quotas, and these quotas don't leave me with enough time to use the bathroom. And Amazon went online and decided to, in front of the entire world, say, you don't really think that our workers pee in bottles, do you? And, this was obviously bullshit. And then it came out a couple, not even a day later, Ken Klippenstein got the scoop, where a bunch of Amazon employees were sending him information that revealed that Amazon themselves even were aware of this problem of workers being forced to defecate and pee in bottles. So they were not only, it was that happening where workers were put in that position, but Amazon knew about it and then went out and lied publicly about it. So that was just one piece in this ongoing fight here. But it's really interesting that Jeff Bezos himself was one that was the guy who was pushing some of these. So Recode's Jason Del Rey reported Sunday that Bezos, the richest man on the planet, has expressed dissatisfaction in recent weeks that the company officials weren't more aggressive in how they pushed back against criticisms of the company that he and other leaders deem inaccurate or misleading. And what followed were those tweets that we were just talking about, snarky and aggressive tweets even. But this is interesting. So as Del Rey explained, the timing of the messages from Clark and Amazon's official Twitter account was likely not coincidental. Obviously, again, this is this proxy war that's going on with the fight in Bessemer, Alabama. So Bezos and other Amazon leaders are on the edge as the company is facing the largest union election in its history in Bessemer, Alabama warehouse. Election results will be tallied early this week, and Amazon officials understand that if a majority of the employee voters vote to unionize, it could set off a chain reaction at other facilities with the potential to force the e-commerce giant to overhaul how it manages its hundreds of thousands of frontline U.S. workers. So yeah, this again is just a proxy war, really, and it's super important what's going to happen in Bessemer, Alabama, because like they said, this could set off a chain reaction, and in fact, it actually already is with like hundreds of warehouses around the United States beginning these early discussions and showing interest in unionizing. So this really could set off a massively important chain reaction down the line. And Amazon being a $1 trillion company, being one of the biggest companies in the world, this would obviously have gigantic ramifications. And so, you know, that's interesting right there in and of itself, that Jeff Bezos, the most powerful man in the world, is absolutely shaking and is nervous about what the results are going to be. And listen, this really could go either way. It's not certain whether or not they're going to vote to unionize or not. But I want to get one thing clear. If they fail in this vote, it's not because the workers, you know, didn't like the union. It's not a hit against unionization. If it fails, it will be because of the aggressive and, you know, really what should be illegal anti-union propaganda campaigns that Amazon was launching, and the tactics that they were using in, you know, intimidating workers to feel like if they vote to unionize, then Amazon could just shut the plant down entirely and they could lose their jobs. Those are really more so the reasons why this could fail. But understand that, you know, whether or not this fails or succeeds, we still have this chain reaction that will, the fight will basically be continuing. And so I wanted to finish off showing you this clip of Bernie Sanders, who was rallying down there, because this video sums it up perfectly. And Bernie Sanders, as always, gives his inspirational, motivational speeches about why this is so important in this moment. So let's go ahead and watch this.
Enough really is enough. How much money do the richest people in this country require?
I don't have to tell you, Bezos is the wealthiest guy in the world. He's worth about 180 billion. That's a B, not an M.
His personal wealth has increased by $65 billion during the pandemic alone.
Don't tell me you want to make an economic investment in my community and then you come pay me fast food wages. You don't want an economic investment. You want to use me like an indentured servant to enrich the richest man in the world.
The goal of Amazon is to get as much productivity out of us for as little compensation as possible.
We're working for the richest man in the world, and employees not get paid what they deserve.
And I'm very proud of the wages that we pay.
Amazon is trying to hide behind a fig leaf of giving $15 an hour, but that wage rate is actually below what unionized warehouses in the area are providing workers. It's also below the median wage in Alabama.
I asked my supervisor, how often do you get raises? And she said, well, you know, it pretty much taps out like where you're at.
They're starting you at 15 usually, but it's slow to move up. Is that what I'm hearing?
I asked the question in the union busting class. Can you explain to us when is the top out? He said in 3 years. Okay, we're starting at $15 now, so in 3 years we'll be making a little below $17. In 10, 20 years, you may be still making less than $17 an hour.
This country belongs to all of us, not just a handful of billionaires.
A union will give us leverage of our own.
The union is coming. We will be there.
When I, look around at the facility, the heat we work in, the corners that they cut, the lack of accountability, I understand why he's so rich.
They say to Mr. Bezos, why, when you have so much money, more money that can be spent in a million lifetimes, why are you spending millions trying to defeat an effort on the part of workers here who want nothing more than decent wages, decent benefits, decent working conditions?
Yeah, so, Bernie Sanders always puts out these videos and they're really high quality and I like them, so that's why I wanted to show you that. But, he's absolutely right. Amazon is scared for one reason and one reason only, and that's because they understand the power of unions. They understand that, while they can hide behind the, oh, we're paying our workers $15 minimum wage, even though, again, that's less than what your average unionized warehouse worker would be making. So substandard wages that they're giving out, but they understand full well the power of unions, and so that's why they're scared. That's why they're spending the millions to try to shut down this effort. So I really hope that this succeeds, this drive succeeds, but remember, no matter what, regardless of if it succeeds or fails, this fight to unionize not only Amazon, but to increase unionization in the country has to continue.